Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Yep, you read the title right. NIO could one day in the not too distant future become bigger and even more valuable than Tesla. In this video I'm going to be talking about how NIO is currently performing, its future plans, breaking down its current performance and its current financials, and comparing it to Tesla to see just why NIO has so much potential. But before we get started and dive any deeper, only about 19% of you are currently subscribed to the channel, which is really low. So subscribe, it's free and you can always unsubscribe later if you want. Now let's get into the video. So let's start by talking about who NIO actually are and what they do. So NIO are a Chinese-based car manufacturer that specialises in electric vehicles. They also have a racing team that competes in Formula E, similar to Mercedes-Benz or Ferrari. They currently have not one, not two, not three, but 4 vehicles currently on the road and in full production, not just in the prototype stage. This puts NIO ahead of many other EV companies that didn't escape the prototype stage, like Nikola Motors, Faraday and Dyson. This goes to show just how incredible NIO actually are. Elon Musk himself commented on just how many times Tesla almost went bankrupt as it was trying to escape the prototype stage and scale up production. NIO have also sold around 50,000 vehicles, so it's not as if they've just sold a few hundred here and there. NIO have already released a 2-seater sports car, 2 mid-sized SUVs and 1 larger 7-seater SUV similar to the Model X, for example. Next year they plan to release a mid-sized saloon car and a smaller, more compact hatchback size car. In 2022 they plan to release another SUV and even a minivan, so you can see they're really trying to diversify the choice of vehicles that they offer. Similarly to Tesla, they also have autonomous driving capabilities that they're constantly striving to improve. And I'll talk about it a little bit later, but their autonomous system is actually just as good, if not better, than Tesla's. They also have an onboard artificial intelligence software, which controls a whole bunch of stuff like the navigation, the music, and even all the technical stuff like the automatic lane keeping and lane changing and bits and pieces like that. They're also doing something that Tesla aren't doing, and that's producing an entire network of battery swapping stations, of which they have 140 stations in China alone. Now Tesla superchargers are a great idea, cutting charge times down from between 6 to 12 hours to about an hour, or about 20 minutes for a half charge. And that's a pretty good charge time. But with NIO you can go to one of their many battery swapping stations and swap your empty battery for one of their fully charged counterparts, of which they hold many on site at these stations, and you can do it in as little as 5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes if you get the technique really mastered. So now you know a little bit about what NIO do and what vehicles they offer in their lineup. But just how is the company currently performing? And I have to admit it's pretty shocking just how good NIO are doing already. In 2018 they generated around $720 million in revenue with around 11,000 vehicles delivered. In 2019 they managed to increase this to 1.1 billion in revenue with around 20,000 vehicles delivered. So about a 50% increase in revenue and almost 100% increase in vehicle production. Now the keener-eyed amongst you will notice that this means that NIO's price per car sold fell quite a lot between 2018 and 2019. So they're actually trying to cut their costs as much as possible and pass all of these cost savings onto the customer to hopefully build a bigger market share and one day then build bigger profits once they've streamlined all their costs. In quarter 3 of 2020 they generated revenues of $660 million on deliveries of 12,000 vehicles in this one quarter alone. With no pandemic and constant performance throughout the entire year, that means they would have generated revenues of around $2.4 billion and with around 48,000 vehicle deliveries. Now that's a 118% increase in revenue and a 140% increase in vehicles delivered, obviously going from 20,000 to 48,000 vehicles. And we can see that actually their price of cutting costs to deliver cheaper vehicles is starting to work. Back in 2018 when their prices were higher, they had a gross margin of around 0.8%. In 2019 obviously they cut the cost or the sales price of those vehicles and their margin fell to -6%. Oof. But in 2020 their margin has increased nicely to around 14%, which is pretty good in a low margin industry. NIO is still making a loss of around $140 million a quarter, which is actually kind of expected for a company that is in its infancy, and they have cut that loss quite a bit since the last quarter. Tesla were loss making for over 16 years after all, before becoming profitable this year. Also, even though $140 million a quarter of losses sounds like quite a lot, it isn't actually that much in the grand scheme of things. When Tesla were ramping up production in 2017 and 2018, they were regularly losing over $600 million, if not $700 million a quarter. NIO also have around $3.3 billion of cash in the bank, so they can afford to continue this research and development phase and not have to worry too much about cash. They also do plan to continue ramping up that production, with 17,000 deliveries expected in the next quarter, so another 40% increase. Their expenditure is going exactly where you'd expect it to go and exactly where you'd want it to go, into research and development and into marketing, so they can continue improving their autonomous driving capabilities and continue to making their vehicles cheaper. Speaking of which, they've just announced a new plan where customers can buy their vehicles without any battery packs installed for about a 25% discount. They can then pay monthly for those batteries, just like you would with petrol, for example. You might tank up every week or so you can pay for battery recharges on a weekly or a monthly basis. There's also some other similarities between NIO and Tesla as well. They both use a 100 kWh battery pack, which is the same as what you'd see in top-of-the-range Model S's and Model X's, and they also both use 12 autonomous vehicle driving sensors. So we can see that NIO are setting up to be just as good as Tesla. Also, just a quick one, if you're looking for somewhere to buy shares in NIO or Tesla, then be sure to sign up to free trade using my link down below in the description to get a free share of a stock worth up to £200 when you deposit a minimum of only £1. Yep, that's right, all you've got to do is deposit £1 and you could get a free share worth up to £200. So now we know a little bit about NIO and about its current performance. But what about its future plans? After all, to justify a strong valuation, a company needs some really solid future plans in terms of growth and in terms of vehicle production acceleration. Currently NIO only operate in China, but next year plan to expand into Europe and then be worldwide by 2023, and therefore it will soon be able to compete with some of the larger manufacturers like Tesla. Now I think the main challenge NIO will be expanding into the US market for two main reasons. The first reason is that the US and China don't really have the best trade relationship, as seen by the Hawaii incident. The US just don't really like Chinese tech products. To get around this, NIO could merge with or form a joint partnership with a US-based manufacturer so that it'd technically be a US product. Let's just hope they don't merge with Nikola Motors or Trevor Milton. And the second reason is that NIO will face a lot of competition in the US from Tesla. After all, the US is Tesla's home ground, where it has most of the market share, and trying to take this market share from Elon Musk could prove really difficult, because not only are the Tesla cars great cars, Elon Musk is also a well-loved character. They also have future plans to release a number of new vehicles: a mid-size sedan saloon car, a smaller compact hatchback car, another SUV, a minivan, and even a completely fully autonomous vehicle with no steering wheel, just an array of seats and even a table to work from. Now what's really impressive is that NIO already have a prototype of this car built and were planning to put it into production this year in 2020, but obviously I guess the pandemic delayed that a little bit. Tesla don't actually currently have plans to produce a fully autonomous vehicle with no steering wheel, although I'm sure they are working on it. Therefore, technically NIO could actually beat Tesla in the race to fully autonomous driving. Currently both of the companies are stuck at level 2 of the 5-level autopilot system, with both of these companies expecting to release a level 5 autopilot system in either 2021 or 2022. Now let's look at how the NIO stock has been performing recently over the last 12 months. The stock has increased massively from around $2 a share up to around $55 a share before pulling back to around $40 a share. This, I think, is a much needed pullback. As I mentioned the other week in my video about Tesla, companies can't sustain a multi-thousand% growth for years and years without a single pullback in the stock's value. It's just unrealistic. This gives NIO a stock valuation of around $50 billion, which is around 10 times smaller than the value of Tesla. The stock is also returning back to its moving average, meaning that it's primed for another large move upwards on the announcement of some good news. Say some strong Q4 earnings, or the announcement of the expansion into Europe, or the announcement of a new vehicle. A large number of these shares are still held by its early stage investors like Tencent Holdings, Baidu, which is the Chinese version of Google, and Lenovo. It's really good to see a large number of these really big companies investing into NIO, showing that it has good direction for the future. I think that in the future, NIO could definitely grow to around the $500 billion mark, similar to Tesla, after they expand into Europe and the US and announce their level 4, level 5 autonomous driving capabilities. This means that the stock could increase over 10 times from $50 a share to over $500 a share. But now on to the main question. Why is NIO better than Tesla? Well, firstly, its prices. Their larger 7-seater premium vehicle only sells for around $68,000 US, around half of what the Tesla Model X sells for. In China, NIO's autonomous driving system is actually better than Tesla's system. It can more efficiently and optimally navigate traffic and is also a smoother ride, requiring less human intervention. If they can continue this driving experience over into Europe and into the US, it means that NIO could have a system that requires less human intervention and has less hiccups in low traffic areas. NIO also offer this battery subscription service, so they can receive an additional 25% discount on their vehicle and just pay monthly to use the batteries. They also have those battery swapping stations, meaning that customers don't have to wait around for 20 minutes to an hour for their vehicle to charge. They can just swap the batteries in 5 minutes and set off on their journey. I think that really we'll have to wait and see whether NIO can beat Tesla in the race to level 5 autonomy. If they do, then the stock price will certainly surge up and could even pass Tesla, especially if they expand into Europe and the US at the same time. As always guys, if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to check out some of my others. Alternatively, subscribe to the channel and ding the notification bell, because that way you'll be alerted when I upload a new video. Cheers!